Hey, what's up, YouTube? Got a battle against Pyrotoz today. I'm really excited when I got to play him because I've been watching his videos for a while now, and I'm sure you guys have probably heard of him. So let's get started. Alright, guys. So as per usual, I just lead off with my Pyrotoz just to get my rocks up. He leads off with his Monferno. I thought this was a good matchup for me at first, but it turns out he carries Hidden Power Grass, and it is a special attacker, and this actually knocks me all the way down to my sturdy ability, but that's probably because I'm 4 times weak to it. So I get up my rocks, and it's really sad that I'm already at such low HP with my Pyrotoz, but what can you do? I switch out into my Musharna, knowing that I can counter anything this has to do to me. He just goes for a flamethrower here. Does a pretty good chunk of damage. I don't see these things too much, but I mean, I guess the standard set is to run a Violet with it and make it a special attacker. So now he switches out. This is Baltoy. I predicted a switch, so I go for the Thunder Wave, but because Baltoy is part ground, he's not affected by that. So knowing that he'll probably set up rocks this turn, I want to switch in my Pyrotoz so I won't have to switch in later and just die to stealth rocks. And that is exactly what he does. He sets up stealth rocks, go for the Hydro Pump to get rid of this thing before it could rapid spin, but of course I miss. And he gets the rapid spin, knocks out my Pyrotoz, and now I don't have hazards for the rest of the match. Really disappointing, but what can you do? It happens. I go into my Slaking now, knowing I'll outspeed this thing, go for Shadow Claw just because I know it's super effective. And I don't think this thing has good defenses at all, and it clearly doesn't because that's non-stab. And but then again, it is super effective, and I'm choice banded, and it's a freaking Slaking. So he goes into his Pyrotoz, and I switch back out into my Musharna. Here he sets up a layer of Toxic Spikes. Don't have a Rapid Spin on my team, and these hazards are really going to play a big role in this battle. I probably should get one on my team, but I don't know who to replace right now. I just replaced my Kangaskhan with this Musharna, and it actually does big work in this battle. And he switches out from his Pyrotoz into his Swoobat. I go for the Psychic. It does a good amount of HP. This is a modest Musharna. It has max special attack, max HP. So now he goes for a Signal Beam. It does a pretty good amount of damage. I just go for the Thunder Wave anyways to cripple this thing. And this is really what this set does. It cripples Pokemon and makes it easier for my other Pokemon to deal with it. And now I outspeed this thing, so I feel safe to go for Moonlight and get a pretty good amount of HP up. Max HP, that Moonlight will give me a whole lot of HP back. He uses Signal Beam again, and I believe he gets a high damage roll this time because the first one didn't seem to do that much, but that one did a whole lot of damage. And after lefties, I'm about at 50%. He switches out for some reason, and I go for the Moonlight just to get back more HP. I was actually just Moonlighting, hoping that he would get the Parahax, but he switches out into his Pyrotoz. I believe here I go for the Thunder Wave. I wasn't really scared of this thing. I thought it was gonna sucker punch me here, but it ends up carrying the X Scissor. This does a whole lot of damage, and I was just watching that bar roll down, the health bar roll down, and he lives on 69 HP. What a great amount of HP to live on. And I get my Thunder Wave up on this thing, which is great. So now I can outspeed this thing, and it is crippled. And because I'm at 96 HP, and I know I can outspeed, I go for a Moonlight. He switches back out to his Swoobat. Pretty odd switching, not sure why, but he. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. So I get a pretty good amount of HP back, and I believe here, seeing how much my Psychic did, I feel safe to go for another one. It does a pretty good amount of HP, and he actually gets the Parahax this turn. Wasn't sure what he was planning to do, but I guess that's why I paralyzed him, and I'm able to finish off his Swoobat with another Psychic. So yeah, I guess you just saw my set in action. It's kind of based on luck in some ways, trying to get a Parahax. I don't think he could have done much to me anyways. He goes into his Pelipper, goes for Toxic. I'm not sure why. I think he forgot I had Synchronized, so I ended up getting a Toxic on him anyways. But I went for the Thunder Wave, so that move was kind of a waste, but it's all good. And the way he brought it in, I was guessing that this thing was going to be specially defensive. So on this turn, I actually go for the Psyshock, I believe. But he used Skydrop, and Skydrop basically makes your Pokemon unable to attack on that turn. And I wasn't sure what kind of set this was going to be. I was expecting the Skydrop to do a lot more damage, guessing that would be a physical attacker. It really does like nothing to me. And that was a crit, and it didn't even do 100 HP. Go for the Psyshock. Doesn't do too much, and now I realize that he is actually physically defensive. So I'm guessing it was just a bluff, and it worked. But now I feel safe to go for the Psychic, and on this turn, I don't believe he goes for another Skydrop. He actually goes for the Roost. I'm sorry. And I was expecting this to be just a Roost stall kind of thing, but as you'll see here, my Psychic does a huge amount of damage, and I don't think he'll be able to roost off the damage and take the toxic. And and yeah, so this Musharna, as I said, this Musharna is doing really big work in this battle. Really helped me out. So after toxic, he has really low amount of HP. I'm guessing he expected me to switch out here because he goes for another toxic, but no, I just stay in and go for a moonlight, knowing he'll die to toxic damage. So now I'm actually at a pretty good range with my Musharna, and he will be taken down because the toxic damage is starting to rack up, as you'll see. So that's already, I think, 3 KOs for this Musharna. Really glad I added this onto my team. Kangaskhan wasn't working out for me too much, and yeah, that toxic damage is racking up hella fast, but I'll be able to stay in. I stay in anyways. He goes for the sucker punch here. Once again, didn't think I was gonna live this, and I can't believe it. I live on 2 HP, and I really felt bad for Pyrotoz, but what can you do? It's not stab, and Musharna is kind of a beast. So I go for the psychic, take out his area dose. I think that's 4 KO, and Musharna has done what it's had to do, and goes down like a man or woman. Is it a girl? I don't know. So he switches out into Zep Striker, and I go into my Rampardos. I didn't think I could outspeed this thing because these things are super fast. Even though I am Choice Scarf, I didn't want to take the risk, and I switch out immediately with my Rampardos. And I believe I go into my Gardevoir, knowing I could take any special hit this thing had to offer. This thing doesn't have the best special attack, but it is rather fast. So I believe here, yeah, he uses me first on that turn. I wasn't really expecting that. I don't see me first on Substrikers too much, considering it is already super fast. And see, here, I thought he was a physical attacker, but it turns out I actually live on a pretty good amount of HP. 18 HP, that's not really good, but kind of scared me there. I thought he was going to be fully attacking, but clearly not, because Gardevoir would not have lived that, because Gardevoir's defense is complete shit. So I end up going for a toxic just to get residual damage on this thing, and my Gardevoir goes out to toxic damage. But it's okay, because that's all I really wanted to do with my Gardevoir. That's why I brought it in. So I go into my Tangela. I can't use Giga Drain because when I traced it and I saw it had Sap Sipper instead of Lightning Rod, which I believe its other ability is. So I end up going for the substitute, and my prediction was correct. He goes into his Monferno, which is all great. I believe here I go for Toxic just to get Toxic up on it, but he switches back out into this thing. And I didn't know what to do because I had no moves to deal with this Striker. I just stayed in, I believe, just to get some toxic damage on, toxic residual damage on him. Plus he has Life Orb, so that toxic damage and Life Orb will not be good for him. He breaks my substitute here with an Overheat. Doesn't really matter to me because I know he can't do anything to me. Go for another substitute here just to even stall him a bit more. And I believe he's sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's going on. So he switches out into back into his Monferno. I'm on 4 HP. I just go for the knockoff just to knock off his Life Orb. But he switches out to Monferno. I knock off his Eviolite, which will make him a bit easier to deal with. I think this was a crucial part of the battle. I'll explain it to you in a bit here. I go into my Rampardos. I didn't want to use Head Smash to miss or Superpower. I end up going for the Zen Headbutt. He uses Vacuum Wave. I'm very lucky to live on pretty amount of low HP. Rampardos' defenses are really bad. And I believe if he had the Eviolite on, the Zen Headbutt wouldn't have one-hit KO'd. But because I knocked it off, I believe I got the one-hit KO. Not really sure. I'll probably do a damage calc on that just to be sure. But yeah, Rampardos has done his job. So now he goes into his back into his Striker. I just wanted to stay in because I didn't want my Slaking to take any damage. And he goes for the Overheat, and he's gonna take some toxic damage and some Life Orb damage right after this turn. So now his Striker is a really low range of HP. I go into my Slaking, and I believe after the Stealth Rocks damage and Toxic Spikes, I thought the battle was over. I thought he was gonna wild charge me and just take me out. But for some reason he uses me first, and I ended up just going for the return. So as you'll see, the return does literally nothing, and I will be able to knock his Striker out. So that will be the battle. Good game, Pyrotoz. I'm so happy that I got to play you. Real inspiration to start making Pokemon battles for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you later.